Welcome back to our podcast. This is Eligible In, where we interview eligible singles who are nominated by you, the family and friends of all our guests. No algorithms, just real people, real stories, real connections. My name is Michael, and I'm joined by Alice today as a co-host. And today we're introducing Coco. You may have seen her as a host on our other episodes, and today we are finally able to formally meet her. As always, if you enjoy the conversation, please follow us on YouTube and any social media for more content. Thanks for joining me today. I'm excited to talk to you guys because I'm always editing your videos, but now I get to be part of the conversation. So let me introduce myself really quick, just like a minute introduction, and then I'll have you guys introduce yourselves. My name is Michael. I'm the editor here at Eligible In, and I am married with a child. So I offer a little bit, I guess, unique perspective to this podcast. I'm currently living in Vietnam with my wife. I've been here for a year and still learning the language, still getting used to everything. But, living outside of the U.S. for a year has also kind of influenced my perspective for sure. And I know Coco from Chicago as a tennis coach, as her tennis coach. So with that, Coco, can you just please introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name's Coco. I'm living in Chicago. I am 33. Yeah. What else? I do play tennis as a hobby. I'm a Libra, if that matters to anybody. What else? I like reading a lot. I enjoy music, like listening to it, playing it, going to concerts. And yeah, I'm a host for Eligible In, which is really exciting. And
how eligible are you, Coco?
how eligible am I? That's such a wonderful way to ask. How fucking single are you? I'm eligible.
Okay, that's good enough. Go ahead.
Definitely eligible.
Hey everyone, I'm Alice. I'm another host for Eligible In. Where to begin? I guess, first of all, I'm single and eligible and 36. I've been in and out of relationships, situationships in Boston, Los Angeles, now Atlanta, where I live. So I've kind of experienced a lovely range of singles and sort of navigating the dating world in that time. But other than dating, I have a dog named Benny who you might hear slurping water in the background. So sorry about that. And I also love to read. Also, I'm very into music. And I guess keeping with the tennis theme, I was on a tennis team last year. I was not very good. And so I was not invited back. So I will be taking lessons.
Damn.
Hopefully this fall after the super hot Atlanta summer, but I had a lot of fun doing it. So I'm really excited to be here and to talk to Coco, have her be the centerpiece of our roundtable.
You guys both like reading, and I'll start with you with this, Coco. Quick question. I guess, what's a book you read recently that you could think, wow, this book kind of accurately represents where my life is or who I am or some of the values that I have?
I'm thinking of a very specific one that I just read last week. Would I say it represents my values? It's this book called Cyrus. It is a fantasy, like a romantasy book, I guess. It's the reason I hesitated with the whole values thing is because like all of the characters are very like morally black. There's a lot of violence, but I think like there is big themes of like love and found family and community that like resonate with me. And I think I see myself in a little bit of each of the characters that really spoke to maybe not like one core thing about me, but like many things that make up who I am. So yeah, I think we'll go with that one.
Okay. Who was that written by?
It's written by A.E. Cosby. It's actually not out yet. It comes out tomorrow. I got an advanced reader copy of it.
My goodness. How did you manage that?
I submitted a form to get one, and I got one.
Wait, you can do that? I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, so here's another fun fact about me. I started a Bookstagram account last October. So since then, I've been following a bunch of like really cool indie authors, as well as like traditionally published authors and stuff like that. And a lot of the indie authors will put out a form for you to fill out if you want to get an ARC advanced reader copy of whatever book is coming out. And yeah, if you're chosen, then they typically come in like a digital form. So like you can read them on your e-reader. But yeah,
It's really cool.
been fun.
Alice, do you have any books that come to mind when you think about this question?
Well, that's a tough one to follow because I feel Coco had some specific themes that tie to her values. The last book that I read most recently for my book club was about a woman who is housing a time traveler and they start a romance. So she's a modern day woman having a romance with a guy from the 1800s. So I don't know if I can, I guess maybe if I really took some time, I could probably be introspective and see how that aligns with my dating life or my personal life, but I don't have a good answer for that one.
I think
To be
those
honest,
books-
I
Yeah.
read a lot of romance too, and honestly, I've already had high standards, but now they're like,
Yeah. There's some pretty bad ones out there. This one I would say is like lukewarm, but I don't know if I could say I resonated with it. It was entertaining. Let's put it that way.
I see. So, I mean, romance. We like romance, right? The
Yeah.
So, what is romance? What is romantic to you guys?
you want to take that one, Alex? You want to take it first?
I was hoping you would.
I mean, I can. I just have. There's a lot.
If this is too deep, maybe we go different direction.
No, it's not too deep.
No,
Not to sound too bitter, I haven't experienced like true romance in a while. Or at least what I think is. But I think, at least for me these days, it's really just someone who like listens to you, supports you, thinks about you, has like plans thoughtful things for you, or just does like little thoughtful things for you. I think that's, at least in my experience, is missing in today's dating landscape, if you will. Just like the thought isn't there. And I think that's like now what I feel is romantic. Like it goes a long way if, like in my case, a guy like checks in and says like, oh, I know you really cared about this thing that was happening. I mean, this is edit. Like, I don't want to get too political, but like after the election, I had this guy that I was dating who was like, hey, I heard, or like just wanted to check in and see how you were doing. Things like that. I don't know. Just like listening to things I say and like caring and just having like a mutual caring and thought for each other, I think is romantic. Like it doesn't, as much as I like to read romance novels and they're very over the top, that's what I think romance is, at least to me now.
yeah, I agree. And here's the thing: is that like I'm not like expecting like billionaire romance. Do you know what I mean? To like meet some billionaire and like have them like spend all their money on me. A lot of the romances that I read are honestly like very much rooted in like everyday reality. And I think like those things, like the everyday things, the choosing to make this person a part of your life and not like, like you complete me kind of way. In like I am a complete person and like I'm not perfect, but like I want another complete person to share my life with. And yeah, those small things, like listening to the things that I actually enjoy or the things I'm passionate about, and like I don't know, like basing a gift off of that, or like taking me, somewhere that I mentioned, or like, and that feels so like silly to say sometimes, because that almost should be like bare minimum at this point.
Like table stakes.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. It's just like the everyday like choice and commitment to be a part of someone's life and share your own that I find the most romantic.
Cosign. Yep.
Yeah, I love that because I think you said, yeah, it does feel like that's the minimum prerequisite for even having a connection. It's just noticing something about the person opposite from you, being there with them in the moment, experiencing things together. I think that's what dating should be. It shouldn't be like, let's go do this cool thing. It could be, let's go do this thing. And then you're just in it together and something happens. You guys react to it. You move with it. And I don't know, you're like in a raft moving together. That's what I think dating and romance should be. Or what I imagined not so long ago as me. I've only been married a year. So it's not like
Still in the newlywed phase.
we're still in the newlywed phase.
Yeah.
So we still have to have romance in our marriage too, apart from all the, stuff that comes with marriage, like partnership and building a house, building a family. But the romance still needs to be there. And okay, so our discussion about romance kind of brings me into, I guess, the theme for today's episode. Valentine's Day is coming up. For me, it's in 2 days. I think you guys in 3 days.
Yeah.
I remember growing up with Valentine's Day being like just a cute day, like holiday, like a one-off day after the new year. Like kind of, you just buy like cute heart-shaped toys and like stuffed animals and stuff. But I think as you get older, you kind of see it in a different light. And I have a prompt here and it says, Valentine's Day, is it capitalism's heart-shaped symbol of overconsumption, a commercialized event saturated with unnecessary pressure and unrealistic expectations, or a heartfelt celebration of love and an opportunity to foster our most meaningful connections? What I want us to do is just kind of discuss where on that spectrum does this Valentine's Day sit for you guys, if you have any personal anecdotes or anything like that about Valentine's Day. And I'll ask you first, Coco.
Is it overconsumption, capitalism, or is it genuine? Yes, I think it's both. The holiday was kind of created and like morphed into this capitalistic overconsumption thing. I definitely think that's mostly what it is. But speaking on me personally, it's something that like I have just made it whatever it means to me over the years. Like, honestly, for the past like at least a decade, I think, I keep a Valentine's date with myself. I buy myself chocolate covered strawberries. And actually that ties in with a love for my mother, because my mother would bring me home chocolate covered strawberries on Valentine's Day. And I watched the movie Valentine's Day. And that's just for me. Whatever else I celebrate, or like if I even celebrate it with anybody else, like cool. But like that's my standing date, February 14th with myself. And I've really been okay with that for, like I said, I've been watching that movie since it came out, I think in 2014. So it'll be 11 years this Friday. Yeah, I think, and then we saw the kind of evolution of Galentine's Day, where it's like women come together to like celebrate a more like platonic friendship love, which I think is really beautiful. Yeah, I think put as much meaning or no meaning into it as you want, because it's just a day. I think it's a great reminder, almost like New Year's, you know what I mean? Like you can almost look at it as like a reset of like, this is my reminder that like love exists in the world in so many forms, and like let me show that in however many ways possible, like every day throughout the year. That's for me, at least, like how I think.
Yeah, I mean, I feel I agree. I don't even really have a take on, it's kind of, I agree with your answer that it's yes to both. I have gone through an evolution of how I feel about Valentine's Day over the years. I used to resent it a lot because I've been single for most of them. But then after being in a relationship for a couple of them, it was bad for other reasons. And not even because it was a terrible, like my boyfriend at the time, did something terrible on that day. It was more because I was like, okay, I'm in a relationship for Valentine's Day. So I have certain expectations that I'm definitely not going to communicate to them. They just need to secretly know that I want them to make it special. And then I would spend all day being like, are they going to send me flowers? Like, are they going to plan a dinner? Did they make a reservation? Like, actually, no, I should say not even that day. Like 2 weeks before, I'm like, he hasn't mentioned making a reservation.
Yeah.
That, are we doing anything? And like, that was almost worse than just being single and having no expectations. And really similar to you, Coco, I treat it as, I don't have standing traditions, although I love the idea of watching the Valentine's Day movie because I love that movie. I mostly just kind of like take a bunch of things that I've been wanting to do for myself that have been kind of backlogged, and I just put it on that day, because I find it, especially with social media, like I really have gotten to a point where I take it for what it is, and I use it as an opportunity to say happy Valentine's Day to my parents and my brother and my friends, and try to stay off social media to not compare myself to others, and then use the time I'm not spending on social media to go do a nice thing for myself. If that's getting a massage, I usually try and make myself a nice dinner, not go out to dinner, just make myself a nice dinner, have a glass of wine. I know this year I'd been way overdue for a trip to Sephora to stock up on skincare beauty items that are going to be very expensive. To do that Friday.
Yeah.
And then the next day is a new day. So, and I honestly feel like now, having been through many of them, one day I'll be in a relationship on it, and I'm just gonna hopefully be chill about it then too. And just feel like, maybe do a nice thing, but it's just not a big deal to me.
I think both of those answers are just perfect, because I think the first part of the question, the prompt about capitalism, I think it's easy to blame capitalism for a lot of things, but it's just kind of like the structure we live in, and it's the structure like everyone's living in, right? It's like no one's exempt from it. But what you said, Coco, is so true. It's just whatever meaning you want to put into the day, and you set aside time for your loved ones. Like that's already so much value there. You don't have to worry about spending money. Me,
I will be spending money. Sorry.
Well, you just worry about Sephora trip. I'm just saying there shouldn't be like any guilt about spending money on that day. Like being a consumer is just another part of life. But yeah, fostering those connections even with yourself. I had to. My wife sent me a TikTok that's like, you're supposed to ask your wife to be your Valentine even though you're married. And so I had to ask her, will you be my Valentine? Which is, I'm thankful for. It's a reminder that, yeah, I still have to, I can't take anything for granted here.
Yeah,
that's really cute. That is romance, by the way.
That is, like, because what if she said no?
Yeah, exactly. What she did.
What if
you're like, I could say no if I wanted to?
Yeah, like what if my daughter is gonna be my Valentine and not you? Or like what?
Exactly.
Like, what if my best friend's gonna be my Valentine instead of you? Like, oh, you can't have multiple Valentines, but no, I love that. Good on you, Ben. Good on you.
I know, she should be on this podcast. She'd be so funny. But yeah. And so now I have a date planned for us, and the girl too, Emma.
Sweet.
Yeah. Any like anything you guys remember from the past in Valentine's Day? Because I remember my mom always getting us, like, because I have 3 younger brothers, so I remember her getting us the same like stuffed animal, all of us, and some chocolate.
So cute. Well, I'll say my this is actually very poignant because not to be a Debbie Downer, my grandma passed away a couple months ago, and she was renowned for her like incredible homemade Valentines. Like whenever you got a envelope from her around Valentine's Day, it was so exciting. So you knew, like, she was such a wordsmith and like put so much thought into them, and she'd like cut things out and be super clever with it. So I still have like all my Valentines from her because they're so sweet. So that was always a highlight for me.
Yeah, I love that.
Nice.
Yeah, my mom, like I said, I think the first time she brought me home chocolate covered strawberries, it was because there was a concert. I was in high school, and there was a concert I really wanted to go to, and I couldn't go to it. So, and she was a nurse, and I think she had to like work late that night, and so she like came home and with chocolate covered strawberries. But yeah, I was also an only child. So yeah, she would always give me like little gifts, or like even when I was in college or even out of college, she would like send me like a cute little like care package. We had this thing where like we would like, you get like a card for somebody like for their birthday or for Valentine's Day. But we would always find like 2 or 3 because we were like, why choose? Like, why choose just one? So we'd get like a cute, like funny one, and then we'd get like a really like sweet, sentimental one and like write some sappy message in it. So that's what I remember from Valentine's Day.
We hear a lot of writing letters, so
Yeah.
something we need to focus on too, like with like just putting words on a piece of paper, pen to paper, and just letting whatever comes out come out. I think that would be. Yeah, I'm gonna have to write a letter for Ben.
Yeah, now that you said that. Yeah.
Recorded.
You're right. It's you're not getting out of that one.
It's out there in the world.
I think that's a thing I also remember too, of like even with like friends, like getting Valentine's Day stuff from my friends like in our lockers, or just like passing Valentine's. We need to you're right, Michael. We need to bring that back. Just like little everyday notes or stuff to like, just like, I think especially now, just like you can feel so isolated even when you're, surrounded, like even virtually, like surrounded by people on social media. Like it just can feel so lonely. And sometimes like, honestly, just those like little messages are what like will fuel me for an entire week of like, oh yeah, I'm not alone. I have people that love me and that I love and that are thinking about me.
Yeah.
Ooh, that cut deep.
One of the questions I have, like, and for the sake of time, one of the questions I have next was, how do you navigate loneliness?
And
And
I feel like I could teach a masterclass, honestly.
teach us, man.
Yeah. I mean, I
sell this podcast as like a masterclass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all of the answers of the universe, and like what works for me may not work for somebody else. And also sometimes I think here's the realist part is like sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't deal with loneliness. Sometimes I lay in my bed and I let the overwhelm of the feeling of loneliness completely suck me down a black hole. And it's the worst feeling in the world. Like that's the truth. Sometimes I just don't fucking deal with loneliness. But I think I have to, at minimum, I have to pull myself out and be like, that is not the reality of like, because there's a difference between like loneliness and being alone. Like, yeah, I'm alone a lot of the time. Like I said, I'm an only child. I've spent a lot of alone time with myself over my entire life. And yeah, sometimes that does get very lonely, but it is okay to be alone. I think I'm honestly at a point now where I would have to reacclimate to not being alone as much. Like if people were around a little more constantly, that would actually like drive me up a wall for a time because I would have to get used to it again.
Yeah, that's so real. Yeah, I was like you for a while, single for many years, and there's nights where you're just like so alone, and you're just there, you're just like what?
Literally, like,
it's like, what the heck? Yeah, how is this life? This is what life is?
Yeah, literally.
Just yesterday, I was talking to Ben, my wife. Man, I'm gonna bring her up all the time. But I have this, like, it's like loneliness is still existing, but I'm literally like during the day, she's off to work. I drop Emma off at school, and then I'm working at home alone. And it's like just so quiet. And I'm like, I get anxious because when I pick up Emma and I get her home and, Ben comes home from work, all of a sudden the house is like loud. like there's life and we're cooking, and then there's just all this chatter and stuff. And then I feel like, I feel like I'm breathing again. Like it's just like, this is what I'm used to. I'm getting used to now from before. Where even sometimes when I'm around them for like the whole weekend, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, like I'm not used to this still. Even after a year. But that's interesting, because I think loneliness can even exist even if you are around people. And like you said, even social media, if you have all these hundreds of friends or people that follow you, you can still feel very lonely, which I think is just, I don't know. I think you don't navigate loneliness. Maybe no loneliness like impresses itself on you from time to time. And
yeah. I mean, I feel like I've talked about loneliness ad nauseum in therapy, because I realized that fear of being alone drives most of my decision making. So we've talked about it for years. And I think what I've arrived at now is that there's a difference, at least for me, between being alone and feeling lonely. Like, I am alone a lot of the time, but I actually love it. One of my favorite things to do, and like, sorry if any of my friends are listening to this, it's not true, but like, I love taking a book to like a restaurant and like sitting at the bar, ordering dinner, and like reading a book by myself. Like, not, I wouldn't say over getting dinner with friends, but sometimes, yeah, I would rather do that. I've gone to concerts alone, and sometimes I've done that by choice. Like a couple years ago, I wanted to see Kendrick Lamar. He's coming to Atlanta. He's my favorite rapper of all time. And I was like, I could invite friends to go, but I love him and they're going to bring down my vibe. And I just want to go and nerd out to his music by myself. And I had the best time. So like, there are times where, and similar to you, Coco, I think I've learned to be alone so much that I would really have to recalibrate. Like, and don't get me wrong, I do want to meet someone. I want that eventually, but when I actually think about that in practice, it's a little bit like, ooh, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I have my apartment the way I like it. Like, I like the dishwasher a certain way. I have my routines. So,
yep.
But all that to say, I definitely feel lonely sometimes. That's different. That's when I'm like alone and I don't like it, and I don't to be. And I do think that social media can add to that, because you see people off doing things with their partner or with other people, and you're alone, and you're like, well, I'm the only one in the universe right now who's not doing something with anyone else. So I feel like that's, at least for me, how social media will kind of trigger that. But yeah, I mean, similar to you, Coco, like sometimes I just sit in it sometimes and just feel it. Sometimes, honestly, I'll numb myself out by like just binge watching Bravo or like scrolling social media, which makes it worse. I've tried to channel that into more like productive things like journaling and working out, but like, I'm only human. Sometimes I'm just like, no, I just want to. I will say like on a practical level, I got a dog. That's helped a lot.
I do have a dog. Yeah,
it doesn't
as well.
solve everything, but I didn't have one before, and that's a huge game changer in coming home and like having this like happy face, waggy tail, excited to see me home. But again, it doesn't solve everything. But like, I do think it's important to distinguish between, because some people I know that have not spent much time single or have never lived alone, they don't know how to be alone. And I do think it's really, really important to learn that and like to enjoy it and like enjoy being with yourself, because I feel like it makes you appreciate yourself and be like, I don't need other people to have a good time. I can enjoy my own company, but we're all human after a certain point, I'm a hermit. I'm like, I want to like connect with people and laugh. And sometimes I go to concerts and like, oh, I wish someone was here if I had to go alone. So I do think there's like
there's definitely a balance.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like, and Michael knows this because I went to his wedding last year in Vietnam. But like after that, like I spent a week with like Michael and his friends and family. And then I spent the next 4 weeks traveling to entirely new countries in an entirely new part of the world by myself.
I've always wanted to do that.
And like, that was fine. I love doing that. I love going to new places and like just exploring and, you know, learning even within the US, like just like differences in culture and food and music and all the I eat that shit up. And then there's also times like when I was on that trip where I was like, man, like it would be really cool if I could share this experience with somebody. And like even in that joy and exhilaration, I experienced loneliness. I think it's normal. It's just like that is just part of being human, is sometimes you just feel lonely.
Yeah. And to your point, I think, Michael, you said this earlier, like you can be in a relationship and feel lonely. I mean, sometimes I felt the most lonely when I was in a relationship. Granted, it was not the right relationship, but sometimes I'm like, I feel less alone when I'm single. It's sort of feeling like you're in a relationship where you're like, I'm just not being heard. I don't know who to talk to about this because I don't want to tell my friends, because then if things work out, then they'll remember that I said this thing.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's why you need a podcast, and you just
God,
for everyone to hear.
that's therapy.
Right.
That's therapy. Yeah. Alice, if you want to solo travel, you need to come to Asia. There's everything here.
I want to
Literally.
honestly, Asia, like, and I'm saying that broadly because there's so many places I want to go in Asia. It's top of my list. One of my best friends here in Atlanta, but I know her from college. She like solo traveled through Southeast Asia for like 9 months, and her like stories and like recommendations, I'm like, I need to do it.
Yes. Honestly, if I didn't have a dog, like my friends were surprised I came back home. And really the only reason I came back home was because of my dog. But otherwise, I'd probably still be over there to this day.
I know. I feel like I saw my dog. He's asleep by my feet. And I feel like he heard me go, I want to spend months in Asia. And his ears perked up. He's like, where am I going to go?
Yeah. The most codependent relationship I have is the one with my dog.
Fair enough.
And mainly
it's one
him.
way. Yeah, you're paying the rent.
Yeah. I'm like, he doesn't even I finally made him, I got a harness for him that like holds his poop bags. I'm like, because that's the very, very least you can do.
Yeah.
Right. You can hold the bag. Wait, you might need to send me a link to that. I need that.
100. It's the best. It's the best.
I hate holding bags.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Solo
Wait,
travel is incredible.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You went to quite a few places,
Mm-hmm.
Jace.
Yeah, five places in the span of 5 weeks.
Anything stick out, or any spot in particular was your favorite?
Everybody asked me that after I traveled, and
Or the collective experience was like
it's like comparing apples and oranges because every single place was so different and unique. Like there are things I absolutely adored about Vietnam and Thailand, and so the list was Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, Bali, Australia.
God.
I think if I have to choose a place, Bali. I just remember like waking up and like, or like going on this like day trip one day, and I was like, is this the Garden of Eden? Like, have I found, like, this is like literal like heaven on earth. Like, this place is unreal. Like, I can't believe there are places on this planet that look this beautiful. Yeah.
Like those videos on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, it's like it's like just someone recording those places, like Hawaii is beautiful, and the caption is just like, people saw this and decided to excel or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like where we get from there to here, you know. But,
right. Exactly.
I saw one of those TikToks recently, and I like kind of had an existential spiral. I was like, yeah, why did we do that? I should be out on that mountain.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing. It's like Bali is one of those places where I'm like, I want people to travel there, and also I want everybody to leave those people alone. Like, they are already having such a problem, like people colonizing essentially, that like, I'm like, I wish everybody could be able to experience places like this. And also, I want to advocate so hard that like we should be doing that ethically, because for us, or for me, like that was something that like was always in the back of my mind traveling. It was like, yes, I am traveling here for fun, but this is somebody's home. Like, people live here and like experience their life here. So like, let me take care of these people's homes too.
It's like it's a bit of a responsibility. I think Bali is seeing like so much tourism,
Mm-hmm.
and even people like staying there. But yeah,
Felt the same way going to Hawaii too. Like it's like, this is amazing, but I feel bad. Like,
Yeah.
this shouldn't be a US state. Ooh, sorry, you can cut that.
Yeah.
Controversial.
No, yeah. But I think that's something that's like I think especially like in America, right? Like, you hear of all these things about these different countries, you know, like how to stay safe and whatever. And I'm not saying like, especially as a solo traveler, as a woman, like, yes, you need to have awareness and like be safe and smart about things. And you know, you can have all these like preconceived notions about somewhere. And I think as early as like Vietnam, I just like looked around and I was like, you know what? Yeah, it is culturally very different from anything I've ever experienced. And also, they're all humans trying to live their lives. They all live and are trying to find love and joy and laughter and spend time with their family. Like, they're really just like doing the exact same thing all of us are doing. And that's really beautiful.
I think that's one of the big lessons from travel, and
Yeah.
I think that's a good spot to like take us out of that and kind of bring us into our closing statements for this Coco special episode. I mean, I have here, Coco, one thing you want your listeners to take away from yourself.
Mm.
It is such a weird question, though, right? I don't like things that are like, please talk about yourself. You know, it's
Yeah.
feel kind of forced. But how about this, Alice? Why don't we each say one thing that we kind of admire about Coco, or
Oh,
see very.
now you're just trying to make me cry.
Oh, that
Oh my
sound
god,
good?
I need to like hide your
Right.
screen.
That's
Let's
fine.
do
No, no,
one.
no. I'll do it. I'll
Just
do it. I
one
need
thing
to.
about
This
Coco that we like.
this is good practice. I'm gonna sit here and take
Yes.
love.
Okay, I think I should go first because Michael, you know Coco a lot better than I do, and then I'm gonna be influenced by things you say. So I'm gonna go off of my like 3 interactions I've had with Coco. Well, for starters, I mean, this is on a personal level, but I feel like every time I've talked to you, I feel like we could talk for hours. You just like bring out just like an openness in people. And obviously you and I have a lot that we share in common, a lot of values we have in common. So I love that. But I just think you're such a warm and like welcoming person. That's like, those are the first words that come to mind. And just like, you're just a joy to talk with. And I feel like that must, because I've never met you in person, must extend to your character and all other aspects of life. And I've just really enjoyed chatting with you, and I'm excited to do more of these.
Thank you, Alice. I appreciate that. And yes, we really could talk
Yeah.
for hours.
We need to just have like a separate like session each week where we just like get out all this stuff that we can't say in the podcast. Not 100%.
Honestly, literally just like text me and be like, hey, can we get on a Google Meet and just like rant and rave? And
Yes.
I'm so down for that.
And I'm gonna start doing that.
Great.
Okay, I'll go. Coco. Man, Coco, I remember how like first time we did our lessons and just how intense you were, and just so just so determined to get it right and just get better, and just how grounded you are in almost like everything you do. I think that's the thing I most admire about you, is that you're just so real. You just keep it real. And think sometimes people think real is like, oh, this person has, this perspective, but actually you're real in the way that like you understand that other people bring different things to the table, and you just, I don't know, so complete in your worldview and so mature. Yeah, I just love that you came to Vietnam for my wedding. Just dropped everything and came, and I think that also just says a lot. And it couldn't have been so easy to be, just in a new place, new environment with, people you don't really know, but you put yourself out there. And I think, I don't know, there's just so much value in that. And it's just so much, uh, like just the world needs more people like that. So thank you for that. And,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm gonna cry. Like,
My God.
just takes guts. I mean, people just need to it takes guts. It takes doing
Yeah.
difficult stuff. And you do it. Like I said, I put you through some really tough workouts. Remember that one day that it was so hot, it was like 100 degrees, and
Yes.
we didn't even think about canceling that lesson. We were just like, yeah, we're gonna.
No, and we should have. And I brought us
Yeah,
both.
both, but that was like, like by the time you came to me on the car with it, all the ice had melted. It was like warm. It was supposed to be a milk tea, but warm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was this day during it was like July or something. It was like height of Chicago summer. And like if anybody doesn't know, like the park tennis courts in Chicago are straight up concrete with lines on them. So for tennis, yeah.
Oh.
So we had without fail, I was meeting Michael for a lesson every single week since I started. And it was an incredibly, terribly hot day. We met in the middle of the afternoon. I brought us both boba, and he kicked my ass. And like I was literally like trying to like find shade because I was so hot. And I just remember like we were like borderline delirious and just like looked at each other for a second. We were like, this was probably a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I think that day you were also like giving me like low ball shot drills. So I like really which means like I had to like really like bend my knees and like put my body into these shots he was giving me. It was like 100-degree weather. It was terrible.
That's the thing, Coco. You can just like keep it so light, and then when you need to dig deep and grind, you do it. So I mean, you're the perfect student. And
Thank
you.
you.
I'm glad we got to do this episode. You guys, have a good Valentine's Day. Make time for yourselves and with your traditions, and I don't know, maybe write a friend a letter or something. Maybe that's what we should.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Eligible in Chicago, where Coco is, and again, big thanks to you guys, Alice and Coco, for joining me and opening up and having a conversation about Valentine's Day and loneliness and all that. For the listeners, if you guys enjoyed the conversation, please subscribe to our channel, Eligible In. We're also eligible on social media as well. And if you know someone that would be a good match for Coco, the perfect match, email us at hello@eligiblein.com. Also, if you know someone that would be a good guest, an eligible guest, please visit our website, eligiblein.com. And there'll be a form there you can fill out to nominate another guest.
Thanks for listening to Eligible In, a production of Eligible In Media. Our theme song is by Monster Rally. If you see someone you like on our show, or if you would like to nominate yourself or someone you love to be interviewed by us, please visit us at eligiblein.com for more information, including a link to subscribe to our newsletter, where you can stay up to date on our newest episodes, as well as exclusive features of our eligible people.
Lovely you.